Yesterday evening, Trump held a joint session of Congress, also known as the State of the Union, but presidents don't normally have a State of the Union this early on, so we're going to drop that name for now. Trump started his speech off by talking about how he won the election and how many things he managed to get done, and exactly how he is the best president since George Washington. Trump also added that Joe Biden was the worst president by far in history, which made Representative Al Green mad and caused him to start uncontrollably yelling at him, even after being warned 3 different times.
Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House and to cease any further disruptions. That's your warning. Members are directed to uphold and maintain decorum in the House. Mr. President, you continue.
Then immediately got kicked out, so this is very entertaining from the get-go. Then Trump began talking about the immigration and border security, which is, as you know, stricter immigration policies, the declaration of national emergency at the southern border, and plans for even more security there. Then Trump moved to economic policies, which are reciprocal tariffs for anyone and everyone that is tariffing the United States starting on April 2nd. And he says that he chose April 2nd because he did not want it to be the first, because people would think that he was joking about it. He then moved into his new department that he founded, and we've been talking a lot about it, and that is DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. He then talked about how education and social issues, some of which include but not limited to gender identities and concerns related to woke policies in the government institutions. Then Trump got into the commitment to supporting law enforcement agencies. While we're talking about law enforcement, we cannot forget about DJ Daniel, who is a 13-year-old kid who has brain cancer. Trump found out that it has always been his dream to become a Secret Service agent. So Trump gave him the honorary Secret Service status.
And tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service.
This was part of his speech that I hope everybody, no matter what you think, can come together and say this is an overall good. The whole point in Trump doing this was to show his commitment to fighting cancer in children and also autism in children. And with RFK by his side, I'm sure we can bring this number down from 15,000 cancer cases a year and 1 in every 36 kids to something way lower than that. After that, Trump started talking about the fight America has with terrorism, and last but not least, President Trump's vision for America is economic growth, technology, and taking advantage of the support Trump has for right now. And he wants to do as many things as he possibly can. This is exactly right. This speech sums up his whole entire presidency in a nutshell. Exit polls showing CNN and MSNBC viewers about 70% of these people, after seeing this speech by President Trump, agree with them. And this is CNN and MSNBC listeners and watchers. So never mind if you were to look at the Fox News polls or a conservative leaning poll on the Daily Wire. That would be like a 100% chance. So if Democrats can come together and say, no, actually, I kind of do support this. I'm going to keep this under wraps. I'll do this anonymously and I'll say that I agree. Okay, yeah, that is huge and the Democrats are losing. Let's talk about Dan Bongino winning the nomination to be the head of the FBI. From Dan Bongino winning his nomination to Trump being forced to go to the Supreme Court because states don't want to comply with Title IX, it has been a very, very busy weekend. Here's everything that we need to go over in today's episode. Starting with Dan Bongino, who is known for his years and years of being a cop, then getting into Secret Service and his commentary on his podcast, President Trump asked him if he would be up to serving a key role in the Trump administration. Of course, he said yes. And just a few days ago, Trump elected him to be the head of the FBI, which is crazy to think about because he's such a great person for the role that I think that he's actually overqualified for the job. And I cannot wait to see the reforms that he will actually bring to not only the FBI, but also the organizations that rely on the FBI to do their job. Of course, things can't always look up for Trump because of the fact that states have a hard time understanding that men do not belong in women's sports. Which brings us to our next thing, which took place in Trump's first day of office. He signed an executive order limiting, or should I say outright banning, men from playing against girls or woman in sport, also known as enforcing Title IX, potato. This was followed by states trying to sue the Trump administration. After a few weeks, the Supreme Court was finally ready to hear this case. So on March 3rd, the justices will start hearing Trump's case for why men should not play in women's sports and why they actually have the upper hand, which is an open and shut case to me. You know what else is open and shut? On Trump's first couple days in the White House, he passed an executive order that is obvious to everybody except for a few crazy people. This executive order made sure that if you are a man, you stay in the man's prison, and if you are a woman, you stay with the woman. It's hard to believe that in America, you can have a policy that allows people that are arrested for literally anything to be locked up together with a man who could be arrested for SA. You are locked in the same exact room as this man, and you have to pee in front of him, you need to shower in front of him. This is not a policy that we need in America, and of course, it's a good thing that Trump put a stop to it. But just like everything else, common sense is not common. So states have to put a stop to this, or they think that they have to, so the Supreme Court just allowed this case to be heard from one of them. We will also see what they say about this case, and I can only hope that they come to the right judgment. Who I also have trust for their best judgment is Tulsi Gabbard, which was nominated to be the director of the National Intelligence by Trump because of her qualifications. These being her military expertise for more than 2 decades, rising to the rank of lieutenant. She was also deployed in Iraq, earning a combat medical badge for her service. Also, she served as the United States representative for Hawaii's 2nd District in 2013 to 2021, sitting on the House Armed Services, Foreign Affairs, and Homeland Security Committee. Not to mention her stance that is anti-establishment, like her thinking twice before accepting the fact that we're sending our military personnel abroad and sending billions and billions of dollars with no oversight to people across the world. So that basically being America first. She also has a brain on her head because she can make choices for herself. She once supported Bernie Sanders in 2015, then Biden in 2020. Then she started thinking about things over and over again, and it came to her senses in 2021, so she left the Democratic Party in 2022. Not to mention her communication skills because she's been on TV and different podcasts throughout the years. So she knows exactly how to communicate her ideas and the ideas of President Trump. But sadly, a lot of people do not have these communication skills because the Department of Education has failed us. Speaking of a few weeks ago, Trump signed an executive order disbanding the Department of Education. No, he did not stop the teaching in private schools, public schools, or any other schools. The Department of Education, which is a department that chooses what kids in grade K through 12 learn, as you can see, they have not been doing a good job. So the only thing that they can do now is to be disbanded. So kids can learn what they actually need and not a bunch of things that 1, they will never use, and 2, what they would actually need to be an adult, which is what school is made for at the end of the day, making the Department of Education a thing of the past. Trump now needed to meet with the state governors to talk about how the Department of Education will be handled going forward and how funding will work. This exact thing took place in the Oval Office and allowed governors to ask any questions that they had. Talking about education, all of our founding documents as a country were all written in the same exact language, and that is English. America's founding was the first signed by our founding fathers in the Declaration of Independence. Our founding amendment in everything was all in the same exact language, and that language was English. English is so important to America, so that led us to do the one and only thing that you could possibly do and make English our natural and official language. That is exactly what President Trump did when he signed an executive order naming English as the official language of America. What a lot of people don't understand though, if you were to post anything and have a conservative public opinion, you were shadow banned. Well, for the past few years or so, conservatives on social media had to guess and see which video would make it and which video would not, because they would undergo this thing called blacklisting or suppression or shadow banning, with mainstream social network calling this your right to free speech but not freedom to reach. Knowing this, the House of Representatives finally introduced a bill that would make sure that any suppression of conservative ideas or social media is now curbed and is looked down upon. What is also looked down upon is people trying to get into this country illegally. Over the past couple of years, the United States government has just allowed everybody and anybody to come into this country, even though we know full well that they're not going to provide America with anything but drugs and problems. Under the Trump administration, we are no longer playing the games of the gangs that run the Mexican cartels. We instead are demanding that they comply with our standard of law and order. Come to this country the proper way. That's exactly why the Pentagon, under Trump's order, has just deployed additional troops to the southern border. This is on top of the troops that were already out there by the Mexican government and the troops that were already there by Trump. Talking about people that America has let walk all over in the past few years or so, as we talked about on Friday, Zelenski embarrassed himself at the White House by demanding things that were already in the deal. Of course, I digress. Zelenski has just posted a statement saying that he wants to work out a deal with America, and he is very, very thankful and he is very, very sorry. He also spent an hour or so after this White House catastrophe retweeting and reposting all of the world leaders that still support Ukraine, saying thank you, thank you, thank you. Now he knows that he cannot get away with demanding things when you want America to help you out. This is a little something I like to call a two-way street. We help you and you help us. Last but not least, as we all know, California is somehow always in the news. This time, it's because of the fact that they are disobeying federal laws. Instead of complying with the easiest federal law on the books and not allowing people who are breaking our laws to stay in your state, California would rather hide the law-breaking aliens and defy federal deportation order. In doing this, they got themselves into a situation with President Trump and are now being taken to court over this ruling because Trump said that they will lose federal funding if they continue to disregard federal immigration laws. Of course, this is only the beginning of exactly what's to come this week because it is only Wednesday, so stay tuned. I will be uploading an update video on Friday, and you can keep an eye on the shorts because we do post shorts every single day.